Hey, I'm going to do the second episode in the soaping series today. Today we'll actually make soap, or I will make soap and you will watch. So first of all, I have the ingredients measured out already by weight using a scale. These are my frozen chunks of goat's milk in here. I have my lye already measured out in here, and the oils are in here. I may have to warm them up again if they get too cold. But first, with cold processed soap, the first thing you do is you just start sprinkling, with milk soap anyway, you sprinkle the lye over your frozen soap. Just a little bit. I'm not putting a ton in here. And the lye, once it hits it, it starts to warm up and it will start melting your soap a little bit. So, this is kind of a long process. I don't like to rush this part of it because if you rush it, you'll end up scorching your milk and it'll turn like a neon orange or neon yellow color and your soap just won't be as pretty. It's still usable, but it just won't look that good. So if you have patience, which is hard for me, I just want to go, but if you can make yourself be patient, you will keep your soap so it's a lighter color. It still won't be like pure white, but it'll be a nice creamy white, depending on what essential oils you use or fragrance oils. The essential oils I'm going to be using today are vanilla, and I'm also using this, where did it go? Oh, here it is. This little tiny bottle, after I've told you to get bigger bottles of essential oils. This is Rose Absolute, so this is really, really concentrated and very strong. So I already measured out my essential oils, as I'm letting that set. I will show you. This is about 1 ounce of the vanilla essential oil, and then I did about 2 of these dropperfuls of the Rose Absolute, and you can smell the rose pretty strong in there. Rose and vanilla. That's the scents I'm going to do today. And because I'm using rose essential, or not rose, because I'm using the vanilla essential oils, that will turn your soap a tan color. So that really can't be helped too much. So with the lye on your goat's milk soap, that'll take, you want to do it slow enough that so it won't scorch or turn your milk a different color. It'll probably take you a good 10 to 15 minutes. So this isn't the real exciting part. So right now I started about 8:10. We'll see how long it takes before I'm done. Okay, so it's 8:19, and I just got all the lye mixed in with the goat's milk. See, it's still, hopefully you can see that, it still looks pretty creamy white. So, I did it slow enough, it didn't scorch the milk. Okay, so the oils are still melted, and we're all ready to add them to the goat's milk and lye. And I usually add it right here into the big bowl with the lye and goat's milk. And I stir it as I'm adding it. Whisk it, I should say. That's probably more accurate. The oils I'm using are a combination of coconut oil, olive oil, and lard. That's the fattened oil that I'm using in this soap. That's the combination I tend to like to use. Those are all fairly easy oils and fats to get, and I like the bar of soap that it produces. Okay, I'm just going to make sure this is incorporated together, and then I will turn to using my stick blender. And I don't know if you noticed, but in my last video I was talking about safety and what you should wear, and I know I'm breaking my own rules. So do what I say, not what I do. I do have long sleeves, long pants, and closed-toed shoes on. I just don't have the gloves and the goggles on, but I think I'm going to put them on now because sometimes it splashes a little bit more when you, we have oil on this, can't see through it. When you use the stick blender, sometimes it splashes up more. So there we go. Now I can see. was all cloudy before. Alright, get my things on here. And we'll blend it for, I don't know, it's not usually too long before it gets to trace. We'll see. So, alright, here we go. You don't want to run the blender constantly either, because that can overheat the motor, and that's not good for it. And it gets really hot in your hand too. So. Getting thicker. Still pretty thin. I'm going to do a pretty light trace today because of the coloring I want to do in this soap, in this batch of soap. So I'm not going to do a very thick trace. So it's not going to take too long. We're getting there. At a very light, thin trace right now. I'm going to do it another minute, I think, to make it a little thicker. Alright, and that's as thick as I'm going to do it. It's hard to tell on there, but when it gets to trace, what's called trace, when you drip it like this, you'll be able to see it, see the trail on the top of the soap. And I have a hard time, this light isn't real good in here, so I have to kind of go this side, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I can see it. A thicker one, you can actually see it when you push it down in. So now I'm going to add the essential oil mix that I had before, that I made before, the vanilla with the rose, essential oil with the rose absolute. And I'm going to whisk that in. This is going to turn it brown. It's a nice creamy color right now, and I think it's pretty just like that, but the fragrance, the essential oils will turn it brown because they're very dark brown. Oh, looks kind of like chocolate. Blend this. Make sure it's really mixed good. I'm going to blend it. Blended pretty good. Now, I'm going to try an experiment. So, we'll find out together if this will work. But, what I did, I'll take these off because I can't stand them. What I did is I put a little bit of white mica in here, and I'm going to add a little bit of almond oil, like probably a couple teaspoons maybe. And I got this nifty little new mini blender. is good to mix the colors with. So I'm going to mix that up. And then I'm going to add it to this and see if it'll lighten it back up to a whiter color, or at least a cream. Alright, I don't know if you can see that. We're going to try to lighten it back up with this. Alright? Let me see. Put that back together. Should have just left it in the bowl, I guess. And here we go. Let's see what it'll do. Okay, so it did lighten it a tad, but not nearly as much as I was hoping. And I'm looking for my spatula. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get the rest of this coloring out, see if it'll make it just a little bit lighter. Not much more that I could scrape out of there, but we'll see how much lighter, if it'll make it a little bit lighter. Well, it did lighten it up to a lighter brown, but not enough to color it. I wanted to put some color in this soap, but it's not going to work. So we'll just put it right in the mold as is. I got to get some of the oil off this or I might drop the bowl. I don't. Okay, so I'm going to grab my mold. Oh, dog hair in the mold. We don't want that. Okay. So I have my mold already prepped and lined, and we're just going to pour this right in. This makes a lot of soap. I really need to take this recipe and scale it down, but it's okay. Makes a lot. There we go. I'm going to bang this a little bit, get the air bubbles out. Now I'm going to go get some more molds. So, it turned brown, so I can't color it the way I wanted to. And I should have realized this because I knew the vanilla essential oil would do that, but I had forgotten. So what I did is I mixed up some gold mica in the oil. I use sweet almond oil usually because it's a light oil to mix the colors up with. I'm going to give this another swirl. What I'm going to do is drizzle it on the top of here and swirl it and just give a gold swirl on the top of the soap. Kind of dress it up a little bit. Alright, let's hope this works. I just want to do a little thin, fairly thin drizzle. Oops, that wasn't very thin. And then what I'm going to do is take the end of this and just swirl it around. Kind to do swirls and figure eights and kind of just make a nice little pattern on the top however you want to. And it should be pretty good. It's already thick. The soap is already getting quite a bit thicker, so I can't do probably too much. There's not much here. I'm going to put a little bit more. There we go. It's always hard to know when to stop, when enough is enough. I think that's about enough. Alright, I will tip it so maybe you can see it just a little bit. I think it'll look pretty. Alright, and now I'm just going to do a little bit on the tops of the smaller bars, and that's all there is to the cold process soap. I'm going to put the lid on this, and tomorrow, about 24 hours, I will unmold this and cut it and see how it looks. Alright, have a good night. Okay, so I just thought I'd bring you over here and see if you can see. I don't know if the lighting's that good, but I swirled the tops of these, and they look messy right now, but when you take them out and you clean up the edges, the bars will look fine. And then this is the top of the loaf mold. Alright, so there you have it. It's all done. Now you just have to wait to unmold it and then to let it cure for about a month. So today is Saturday morning. Thursday night I made the soap, and I didn't have time last night, so I didn't do the video to show you how it looks out of the mold. But I popped this one out of the small mold just a little bit ago, and it lightened up in color, so it's a light tan. And I just smooth the edges out a little bit, and later I'll probably do it with a knife so it'll be look even better, because see, in these they're kind of over the edges of the mold, so I just take that part off and smooth it down, and then your bar soap is all ready to go, and it's got the swirl on it, and I think it looks pretty. The loaf mold is over here. As you can see, this one didn't lighten up quite as much. You can see the difference. This one's a light tan. This one's kind of a little bit darker, shade or two darker tan. And probably because this was in a wooden mold, so it insulates it a little more, so it's so it stayed a little darker. So I already cut a couple slices off. The first one I didn't cut very evenly, so I cut another one. But it's just a solid, creamy, lighter tan color with the gold mica swirl on the top. And it's still a little bit tacky, not bad, just a tad. So, but as it cures, it'll harden up even more, and it won't have that little sticky tackiness to it. But that's all there is to it. And I will post the recipe for you so that if you want to try it, you can.